On behalf of New Zealand, I want to apologize to Grace's family. Your daughter should have been safe here, and she wasn't, and I'm sorry for that. Grace Emmy Rose Millane was born in Essex, England, in 1996. Born to parents David and Gillian, she was the youngest of 3 siblings and had 2 older brothers, Michael and Declan. She was sociable, lively, family-orientated, and loved all things creative and artistic. Grace attended the University of Lincoln and graduated with a degree in advertising and marketing. She was excited for a new adventure before she started the next phase of her life. She had saved up for a year-long backpacking tour after her graduation. Grace was described as compassionate and caring, and before she left for her trip, she cut her long hair off and donated it to the Little Princess Trust so it could be turned into wigs for children with cancer. In October 2018, Grace left her family home and set off on her travels. The adventurous and outgoing graduate traveled to Peru before spending 6 weeks in South America. She met up with other travelers along the way, and while he was keen to share her journey with everyone back home, on November 19, 21-year-old Grace arrived in New Zealand, alone, and 11 days later she reached Auckland. She checked into a hostel called the Base Backpackers on Queen Street, sharing a room with some other travelers. Saturday evening, December 1st, 2018. Grace left the hostel just before 6 p.m. and headed out into the city center, dressed in a knee-length black dress, white shoes, and carrying a small handbag. She had made plans to meet someone she had matched with on Tinder. Initially, Grace didn't seem too sure on meeting up, but after some more talking, her and her date eventually made a plan to get some drinks. So Grace met her date at a place called Sky City, an entertainment complex with bars, restaurants, even a casino. Grace had been sending messages to her friend Amina back home, saying, "I click with him so well. He's an oil manager. He lives in a hotel." By all accounts, the evening appeared to be going well. About an hour later, they visited a place called the Blue Stone Room. At one point, Grace got up from the table, and the mystery man, for some reason, picked up her handbag and started searching it. But just after 9:30 p.m., they both left the bar, arm in arm, and headed down the street. The next day was Sunday, December 2nd, and it was Grace's 22nd and birthday. Her family and friends at home were sending messages and reaching out to her over social media, but Grace unusually wasn't responding to anyone, and her 2 phones were going straight to voicemail. Her brother Declan said she had been bombarding them with details and pictures of her trip so far, and no response from her on her birthday was immediately alarming. Grace was a home bird, and this was a red flag. Her parents contacted the Auckland police, and she reported her as missing on December 5th. Police reached out to the hostel Grace was staying at, and they confirmed that she had not checked back in on the night of December 1st. Initially, the police didn't suspect any foul play. The majority of her belongings were still at her hostel. Maybe she had just stayed with some new friends and forgotten to contact people. Fortunately for detectives, it didn't take long to track down where Grace had been on that Saturday evening. Due to the vast amounts of CCTV from around the city, the mystery man she was spotted with that night was quickly identified the very night Grace was last seen. She had changed her profile picture on Facebook. A comment was posted underneath the picture saying, "Beautiful, very radiant." The person that commented was also the Tinder date seen drinking with Grace. This man was Jesse Kempson, who was currently residing at the City Life Hotel in Auckland. Jesse had written a post prior to the comments which caught more attention. Extracts of the post stated he was sorry for his mistakes, his arrogance, and his selfishness. But who was Jesse Kempson? 26-year-old Jesse was born in Wellington and had moved several times as a child after his parents split up. He had been partially raised to his grandparents and was virtually estranged from a lot of his family. Jesse was described by everyone who knew him as a pathological liar. He claimed everything from being the cousin of a famous All Blacks rugby player to telling people he was dying of cancer. He lied to employers, landlords, partners, and his family and friends time and again. Jesse's fake world caught up with him, and he was frequently evicted from his flats and had lost jobs due to his compulsive lying. A former landlord of Jesse said he had claimed to be a professional softball player who had been signed up by New Zealand's national softball team, the Black Sox. He'd lie and say he was waiting on contract money. But after 8 weeks of excuses, the landlord contacted the Black Sox management, and again Jesse's lies were exposed. He told his landlord at the City Life Hotel that he was a top manager for Woolworths. In reality, His rent was being paid by state benefits. Jesse's last job was in telephone sales. This also ended in a dismissal due to his lies, and this all happened on the very day he met Grace Millane, on December 1st. Jesse was the last known person seen with Grace that night, and police knew he was the man they needed to help fill in.